But anyway, now it's time to begin.
I
Let's
guess.
see, what do I do? I scroll down. So we already have some questions here that people are answering. So welcome to day 2 of the course. We start with something we've done for a few years, which is a quick, I guess you could call it an interview, but it's not really. Is it? I guess it is technically. So we talk to different people that work on our team or similar teams and hear about their careers, how they got where they are, and you can ask questions and see some examples. So today, right now, we have Souza Mares here, who actually I think is
Hi.
the newest member of our team, technically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
been
guess.
nearly a year now, but
Yeah,
technically I'm the newest member.
yeah. So anyway, what's your background? Like, how did you end up here? Like, what did you study and where did
Yeah, I
your
think it's
jobs
it's
take you?
maybe a bit of a sort of winding garden path.
Mhm,
Um, so I started as well. I started studying. Originally, I started studying Japanese and
mhm,
computer science as a side, and I switched that to studying bioinformatics, which is
mhm,
computer science with a focus on some biological science, and I
mhm,
picked neuroimaging for that. So then I studied further to do neuroimaging, and that's
mhm,
what I did there was mostly analyzing lots of neuroimaging data. And yeah, I continued doing that for a little while, did my
yeah,
PhD, did a postdoc, and yeah, I came to Aalto as a postdoc.
okay.
Mm, and then at Aalto, I met, it must have been around the Corona time, I met
Mhm.
people from SciComp.
So did you come
And
here in 2019 then?
yes, I came to Finland in 2019, November 2019.
Yeah.
And then I
Mhm.
don't know,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
I
a
was I
interesting
was in
time
Finland
to
like
come.
4 or 5 months when
Yeah.
the Corona lockdown started,
Mhm,
and everyone went basically working from home,
mhm,
and my research group sort of didn't really have a good on staying online presence. So
mhm,
the
mhm.
SciComp chat and partly the code refinery chat sort of
Okay.
became
Yeah.
my co-workers,
I see.
my
Okay, nice.
office.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, then I kept working as a postdoc for
Yeah.
quite some time still,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
because
For,
there
I
were,
guess, 5-ish years.
yeah, ish.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
then in the meantime, my husband had gotten to work at as an RSE, and then at some point
Mhm.
I applied and
Okay.
got a position
Yeah.
here. So
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So was there, well, the next question I have written, what led for the transition from science, like the direct academic science, to research support? And I guess the
well,
obvious answer is it was a job, but is there anything?
no, actually, it's not so much it was a job,
Okay.
because for me, I'd been always more interested in doing the computation and not so much
Mhm,
in and getting the results and not so
mhm,
much
mhm,
in interpreting them and writing them up. So,
mhm.
um, to be honest, if I were on an academic career path still, I would probably be failing right now because I'm rubbish at writing papers.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah, I
one
know the feeling.
reason. And then
Yeah.
there was also so when I was still a postdoc, I started actually trying to chat with a colleague who's also sort of into computing a lot, talking
Mhm.
about Marine, about
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
neuroimaging, there's a lot of code being written,
Mhm.
but many people there's, don't know how to structure code, how to what to look for to make code reusable and readable in 10 years time, or even
Mhm.
in 2 years time. Um, so
Weird.
we then decided we're going to do
Yeah.
a little workshop about for just for neuroimaging, and that's sort of that was something that I really really like teaching people
Mhm.
um, about how to
Yeah.
how to do programming really.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was one more reason why
Okay.
thought, well, I want to do more of the teaching to code
Yeah.
and less of the actual science
Mhm.
interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, then that's perfect then. Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
why I really wanted
Yeah.
I really really
And
wanted to go get
yeah.
that kind of position.
And would
And
you say that's what you're doing now?
yeah, I guess. I mean,
Okay. Good.
there's the Kickstart, and there's also a lot of other sort of small things when people come to the garage and they've got a problem with their code. We had um, a few people coming just lately that said, "Oh, it's running so slowly. We need some help here."
Mm-hmm.
And then that sort of turned into a slightly bigger. Let's help you restructure the project and get it into a bit better shape
Mm-hmm.
so we can actually get started
Yeah.
with improving the how fast it runs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And then there's lots of other projects that aren't really
Yeah.
teaching, that are more like try to get the code done, but that's fine as well. I do
Mm-hmm.
like coding.
Yeah.
So
Were you worried
overall, I'm
about
quite happy actually.
okay. So before, let's say when you were offered the job, were you worried about making the transition anyhow? And how did it turn out?
Mm, well, I wasn't so worried because I knew the team quite well through, well, I've been in contact with
Mm-hmm.
it through, well, since 2020, I guess, with the one or the other person. So I kind of knew what I was getting into, and I'm still sort of on a retainer for the my old postdoc project. So I do
Mm-hmm.
still work a little bit on the science side.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a slow transition, so to
It
say.
is a
I
really
also
big
had
slow
the same,
transition,
like
yes.
I kept working into other thing for a while. Um, what do you know now that you wish someone else had taught you when you first started as a researcher or like your first
When
research
I wish
experience
I had
job
known
kind
when
of
I
a thing?
started my PhD that um, use version control and
Okay.
use it regularly. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter whether it's Git, which is the thing that
Mm-hmm.
people use most at now, or
Mm-hmm.
I had come into
Yeah.
contact with Subversion before that, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit more complicated and less
Yeah.
featured, I would say, than Git, but
Yeah.
um, it works. That's
Is
better. Anything is better than having um, files by date with
mm-hmm.
the code,
Yeah.
or having final dot one, final
Yeah.
dot
Yeah.
two, and that kind of thing. It's because it's a mess.
Yeah.
So
How
any
often?
sort of version control is better
Yeah.
than what you can come up on your own,
Okay. Yeah.
and you
How
will need
often?
it.
Yeah. How often have you had something where you've edited some code and it's somehow broken and you spent days trying to undo the breakage because you can't figure out what it was? Because that's happened to me many times.
Yeah, well, um, I don't know how many times I
Yeah.
remember a few. I mean, it's always something breaks, and then
Mhm.
there's especially in science, if you've already sort of written up a paper or presented a
Mm.
poster, and
Mhm.
then you notice there's a mistake in the code, and you don't
Yeah.
know, has it does it
Yeah.
affect my results?
Mhm. Mhm.
That,
Mhm.
that that's I think the
Yeah.
worst kind of thing that you can ever that
Yeah.
happen, and it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the feeling. Okay, so next up, what would you say to someone who might be interested in careers outside of tenure track? Um, any,
Well, uh, already it's great that you're thinking out of the box basically, and
mhm,
interested in this. For me, it was mostly sort of talking to people to get to know
mhm,
what is out there,
mhm,
and it doesn't even have to be
mhm,
uh someone outside academia. A
mhm,
lot of the stuff that I how I got into the RSE bit was talking to my colleagues who had
mhm,
heard about
mhm,
this and who had heard about that. And then there was
mhm.
the coat refinery coffee
Yeah.
hour. Actually,
Uh-huh.
that's quite a friendly place to go to,
Mhm,
or it was
mhm.
when I was going there.
Yeah.
And you can just chat to people. No one
Mhm.
bites, even if it
Okay.
looks a bit
Yeah.
intimidating. No one's going to
Yeah.
bite you.
And I guess you could say like all the people at Aalto that are helping you, if you ever want to chat about other stuff. Yeah. I mean, we're here for that. You can
Yeah,
chat in the process of other stuff or whatever.
and
Um,
actually, I think a few times I just went to garage to because
yeah.
I didn't really have a problem, but I
Yeah.
wanted some some company of people who know how to code, I guess, and have a
So
similar mindset.
so you
And maybe,
came your department here was neuroscience and biomedical engineering. So were you
yes.
sort of the coder computer person of the research group?
Well, not well. Strictly speaking, that would have
Or
been
not the
mine
only one?
because I
Okay.
wasn't the only one. I was more
Yeah.
or less the junior one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yes,
Yeah.
I
So
was
but
sort
you were
of
one of
the
the people
one of the
there.
people who knew how to
Yeah.
code in
Yeah.
a field where not everyone knows how to code.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that set you maybe this sort of leads to the next question. So, what what would you recommend, or what do you think someone could do to prepare for, some more diversity of careers after they're done with their degrees or postdocs or whatever?
And I think just realize that it's not as clean cut as it sometimes sounds. Is
Mm,
and not stress about if something
mhm,
doesn't go. You do your bachelor,
mhm,
you do your master, you do your PhD, and then you get a postdoc, and
mhm,
then after 2 years you get a professorship or whatever.
mhm,
That's not how it goes. And there was when I was still a student, I met a postdoc at the Max Planck Institute,
mhm,
in
mhm.
which is a very high profile research
Yeah.
organization in Germany, if people don't know. Um, and
Mhm.
I think he started out as a gardener, and he said,
Okay.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
don't bother. Don't bother with
Yeah.
the preset path. Don't worry about it. Everyone
Yeah.
finds their niche.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you
Okay.
just want to find something, you will.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might
Okay.
take a while. It might be frustrating, and yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
frustrating. But
Yeah.
don't stop believing, basically."
Yeah. Okay.
And that
Okay.
sort of, yeah, that gave me some, I guess it gave me some peace of mind because my path isn't the straightest of them all.
Yeah.
And it hadn't been back then already because I had changed degrees and changed
Mm-hmm.
universities a few times.
Yeah. Okay, so
So
last question
basically,
we can, oh,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
go ahead.
Last question we can look at some of the notes. What do you want to continue learning and what comes next?
I continue learning all the time about things that I didn't know about. But so I can't say what I'm going to be learning next time. I don't
Yeah.
know who's gonna come into garage tomorrow and say, "Hey, I've got a problem with this," and then I'm gonna learn about it
Mm,
because that's something that happens quite often that I don't really
yeah.
know in depth, but I know where to look.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So there's some interesting questions in the notes. Do you use ChatGPT or similar?
Well, me personally, I do not, at least not really regularly. I've used it a few times to just get like a bit of a code snippet or just an answer
Hmm.
that I didn't want to Google about, but or just to try it out. Could have just as well Googled it
Hmm.
and found it
Yeah.
out myself. Mm,
Yeah.
and I'm a bit well, I'm a bit worried about everyone using ChatGPT because people then
Mm,
tend to forget that it has a lot of downfalls and um it starts hallucinating things. You
hmm.
can't actually really trust it. So you need to
Yeah.
check it anyway and then some other source.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know that
Um,
a few people use it for things that are easy to check and
yeah.
well you can see the answers there.
Yeah, we can see what people have written there. Um, what's the most exciting thing you've worked on?
Mhm. Well, the
Well,
most
it says in
exciting
your
for me
role.
is the teaching.
I guess you're relatively don't have that many projects yet, but yeah,
I don't
teaching
have that many projects, but yeah, I
pretty.
think for me the teaching is the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
The thing that
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
nervous about before and then sort of elated after.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one, what's the most important skill you look for when hiring RSEs, like people for our team?
Yeah, I guess
Um,
that would be your
that's
your question
theirs.
to answer.
That's more. Yeah. But my answers there, like it's easy to find people that have good technical skills, but harder to find the people that want to use those skills to help other people instead of just only developing the skills for themselves. And that's sort of the main thing there, if you ask me. So yeah. Um, there's a question recommendation for someone in neuroscience, but maybe you can answer that by writing afterwards.
Yeah, well,
Um, okay, here's an interesting one. Most common, easy to learn, fix mistake people work with high performance computings make. What's the most challenging part? This is a good one. We should actually discuss this all as instructors at the end of the day or end of the
yeah.
course. But do you have any thoughts now? Or should I try to answer?
I think you've got much more experience than I do.
So once someone was talking about how hard it is to, or how to teach people how to use a cluster, and my comment was, if you know sort of the Linux operating system, like command line, how files are stored, the Linux file hierarchy and stuff like that, then it's relatively easy to add in the extra bit to the cluster. But when you're learning the cluster, most people tend to be learning how to submit jobs at the same time they're learning how to write shell scripts, how to SSH there, how to use the command line, like all these things at the same time. Everything depends on everything else. So it's quite overwhelming. Even though if you knew everything except one thing, that one thing would be relatively easy and makes sense. So that's my take on it.
Well, I think the first bit of the first comment is quite something important there. How to
Yeah.
look for parallelism, because if you really want to use the power of the cluster, you want to run things in parallel, and getting into that sort of mindset of identifying what can I run while I'm doing
Yeah.
something else, and
Yeah.
not doing it step by step by step. Like usually when we're teaching, it's a lot of the time it's like you do this first, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And then
Yeah.
taking this, what you've learned about the flow, and then trying to
Yeah.
think what is what can
Yeah.
I actually do out of order?
Yeah.
That's something that's
Yeah. But okay. So
somewhat hard to grasp, I guess.
yeah. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's time to go on. I guess we can keep
Yep.
answering questions about this later or find us, talk to